It's so good to be back. Oh, I haven't recorded a video in so long. I'm ready. Have you ever stopped to wonder how much of your personal style, your beauty routines, your daily habits are truly your own, or ones that are maybe rooted in anti-Blackness and a desire to fit in with whiteness, right? Because whiteness often equates to ease and desirability in our society. If this sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. Let's talk about it. Today, I really want to unpack the subtle and not so subtle ways that anti-Blackness pops up in our lives, whether we realize it or not, right? From the way that we style our hair, for example, to how we dress, to what is considered put together or professional, right? These things are often shaped by values that honestly weren't made for us and never will be. For those who are new here, hello, hello, hello. My name is Vani. And here on this channel, I talk about all the things that we are unlearning and learning while living well and staying moisturized, of course. And today we're going to talk about something that may be a little bit hard for us to swallow, which is how anti-Blackness appears in our lives and how we unwillingly or maybe willingly perpetuate anti-Blackness in our aesthetic, what we consider to be success and ease, and our beauty ideals. And if this sounds like something that you want to listen to, if you want to look at more of my content, feel free to subscribe, hit that like button, because I think that even after this, you're going to hit that like button, and you may hit that subscribe button anyway. So, hit it right now before you forget. You know what I mean? I also want to say before I get started, if you hear yourself in any of this, in anything that I mentioned, don't drag yourself, right? This is more of an honest conversation with Black women over coffee, tea, wine, depending on what time you're watching this. I just really want to have an honest conversation among us women about this, because this does affect our lives, right? I am not here to say that I am some kind of completely evolved, Black person, that I don't have any anti-Blackness in me at all, because anti-Blackness is a plague, it's a parasite, it is pollution that we all breathe, and we have to work really, really hard to A, acknowledge it, and B, work towards eliminating it in our lives. So I just want to make that very clear. I am not coming on some wagging my finger, calling everybody anti-Black, because there are some things that I have worked through, yes, but there are also probably other things that I haven't worked through. So I just want to say that this is a no judgment zone. I hope that you get that impression from the vibe here so far. So yeah, I just want to have an honest chat. So let's start off with the one thing that we always talk about as Black women. The one thing that is on our heads, which is our hair. For so many of us, our hair has been considered a battlefield of sorts, right? It's a place where cultural expectations, beauty beliefs, and personal values really collide. And I wanted to start off with hair because it's such a contested topic in our communities, right? Especially if you work corporate. How do you wear your hair? What is an acceptable way to wear your hair? Even if you don't work in corporate, right? If we're going to be honest, how you wear your hair affects how people perceive you. And not just white people, but other Black people as well. We'll get into that. But has someone with, huge 4C, coily hair, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if we're using a hair typing system anymore. Don't let these little curls fool y'all, by the way. My hair is 4C. This was just some extra braiding hair that I added because I want a little bang, you know what I mean? But, I find it really interesting how wearing our hair wearing our hair undefined, right? Especially if you have a kinkier hair texture, is considered unprofessional or dirty, right? When people who have looser textures can just wear their hair as is and not get any flack for that, right? And honestly, that's rooted in anti-Blackness. Why can't someone who has type 4C hair, 4B hair, whatever you want to call it, wear their hair out as is, right? And it's something that I really think about in terms of hair maintenance and what is considered an acceptable way to wear my hair. Like right now I fed in like 2 little braids here. And for the most part, I do wear my hair For the most part, I wear it out or in braids. I always try to wear my hair as close to like my natural texture as possible, even when I'm wearing extensions. I'm not a lace front wig girly. I don't do any of that. This is no judgment to the girls who do. I admire a girl who could do a bust down. That's just never been like my particular aesthetic. And, you know, so funny. I've been natural for quite some time now. And I remember people always telling me to get locks, right? Oh, get locks. It'll make your hair so much easier to deal with. You'll have hair freedom. And I'm like, I have hair freedom now. I don't do anything that my hair doesn't want to do. And I think that becomes the issue, right? Especially when you have a hair texture that's kinkier or that is deemed not good hair, right? You're always worrying about how to manipulate your hair to do something that it doesn't want to do. I mean, I go to Target and it's so hard for me to find my regular hair care products. Everything is about loosening or defining a curl, which if that's what you want to do, great. But like, what if I just want to wear my hair as is? What if I don't want to loosen or define anything? What if I just want my hair to be moisturized and healthy and lovely? You know what I mean? Back to the lock conversation. There's nothing wrong with getting locks. I think Black women who wear locks, elite, beautiful. But I don't like how that is perpetuated as a way for us to keep our hair maintained and acceptable when there's nothing wrong with our hair growing the way that it does. And no one tells folks with looser textures to get locks, right? For me, it took me years and years and years to realize that like, it's not that serious. And I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. It is not that serious when it comes to hair. As long as your hair is moisturized and healthy and you trim it when you need to trim it, your hair will grow. I have extensions in now, but my hair is about right here. So it is about past about armpit length when I straighten it out. And honestly, I was always in a hair rut up until a few years ago when I realized to just leave my hair alone. Just leave my hair alone. Stop trying to manipulate it all day. And once I did that, I noticed such a huge difference in the health of my hair. I have sisters, I have a niece, and I don't want to give off the impression that they are tied to a life of indentured servitude because of the texture of their hair, right? We all have 4C hair. I want them to realize that there is freedom in our hair. Yes, you can wear your hair on vacation. You don't have to get braids. I'll pop in a picture of what I did when I wore my hair last fall in Amsterdam, and I was there for a week. And I say this as someone who had to get over a lot of hair shit. Our hair is beautiful. No matter what texture you have, it's beautiful. All hair is good hair. If it's healthy and it's growing, it is good. And that is a message that can be really hard for us to internalize when the world is telling us otherwise. And this is me. I want to make this very clear. This is me not shaming anyone who wears lace or bust downs or braids, because I'm a braid girly. I've definitely done sew-ins before. What I want us to really think about I really want us to think about why we do what we do. Why we always wear lace fronts. Why do we always wear braids, right? I think one of the most beautiful things about being a Black woman in our hair is the versatility, right? I can go from this to a 65-inch weave that goes down my ass tomorrow, and it's nothing, right? But I really want us to examine why we do the things we do. If you put your hair in braids constantly, do you put your hair in braids constantly because you believe that your hair is unmanageable or hard to deal with? If you put your hair in lace fronts all the time, is it because you like the way it looks, right? Because there's nothing wrong with versatility. Or do you believe that wearing your natural hair isn't acceptable as is, or you won't be as accepted, or people will look at you differently, right? And all of these things are valid thoughts to a certain degree. But I think if as Black women, we want to live a life of true liberation, we really have to challenge a lot of those assumptions. And sometimes, honestly, stand on business and be like, this is who I am. And a lot of times these trends, these beauty standards are only perpetuated because enough people go along with it, right? Imagine if a lot more of us wore our natural hair, right? It'll be seen as normal. It wouldn't be seen as like this radical thing. And I often think about that, right? Like, Beauty trends are broken and created like that. And all it takes is a couple of people to do something, and then a couple more people will follow, and then a couple more people will follow, right? Like, as much as we like to say, oh my God, we're not like other girls. We are like other girls, okay? We follow things. It's human nature. We're very social beings. It is what it is, right? Let's talk about skin tone and pretty privilege, because much like our hair, our skin, the tone, how clear it is, also plays a role in how we are perceived, right? And how we can move or not move in our society. I am of West African descent, Ghana stand up, woohoo. And I remember growing up and people calling me ugly because I was dark skinned, because I had full lips, because I looked African, right? Which, duh, I am African. And I have a video about that. I'm gonna link in the description below. And I find now that I'm in my late 30s and like Afrobeats has a moment now, and Africa, specifically West Africa, is so much more accepted now in Black American culture, how my features were once kind of demonized. Now they're seen as some of the best things about me, right? This doesn't mean that I don't get the backhand compliments such as, oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl, which people still say to this day. And that irks me because you would never say that to someone who wasn't dark-skinned. So please don't say that. Has evolved as we think we are. Colorism, featurism, right, is still in our society. I have a neighbor who I guess would be considered between brown skin and dark skin, and she has what we consider good hair, like wavy hair. And she often says that on her dating profile, when Black men approach her, or Black men hit her up, they'll be like, oh, you're perfectly dark skinned, like you're not too dark, or you look like you have good hair, your hair's not nappy, right? And while this sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? It is the year of our Lord 2025, and people are still saying these things, right? And I don't want to just say men, because I know women say the same thing too. And it's just like, what does that mean to say that you're the perfect shade of dark and you're not too dark, right? Let's think about that, right? I know, for example, I get darker in the summertime. I love getting darker in the summertime. And people are often like, why do you want to get blacker? And my answer to them is, why wouldn't I want to get blacker? And a lot of times they don't have an answer to that question. But to me, when I hear people say, oh, why do you want to get blacker? I hear, oh, why do you want to make your life harder, right? Why do you want to go away even further, right, from what we consider the ideal skin tone in Black society, right? I say this as a dark-skinned woman. I can only speak from my experience. I can't speak for someone else's experience. I feel like the blacker you look phenotypically, the more sometimes you feel like you have to cosplay whiteness to be accepted, right? The sapphire, mammy, Jezebel stereotypes, they still exist in this world, right? It may not exist as overtly as it did decades ago, but it's still there, right? That idea of dark-skinned women being ratchet or ghetto or loud or unarticulate, right? And it's something that I used to do a lot, especially when I worked in tech. Because I knew I was dark-skinned with natural hair, I would very much watch my tone of voice, how I spoke. I have a naturally deeper voice, as you can hear. I would kind of put up my voice a few octaves so that I wouldn't seem threatening, right? And it's something that I don't see my counterparts with lighter skin tones do, because they don't have those kind of stereotypes, right? And so I want to acknowledge that a lot of times we do these things as a survival mechanism, right? We wear the weaves, we wear the braids, we put up our voice a couple of octaves, right? We talk in ways that sound white, right? Has a survival mechanism. And I understand that, right? Especially in this administration with whatever is going on with the economy, we are just trying to survive. But my goal with this channel, and the goal with my life, why I talk on YouTube, is to maybe challenge those beliefs, put up a middle finger to those beliefs, and just be like, those beliefs aren't getting us anywhere. Fitting in with whiteness is not getting us anywhere. What can we do as our own people, right? To make our lives more joyful, more easeful, and just better for ourselves in this society. So I also want to talk about the whole idea of like the soft life, Black girl luxury take, and how these very specific markers of wealth and aspiration have kind of like seeped into the Black community and have kind of, to me at least, become a code for desirability and respectability within the white gaze. To me, it's not a coincidence that many of the Black women we see on TikTok or Instagram who embrace the soft life ideals very much have features or ways of dressing that align with whiteness, right? So this is the neutral colors and the preppy outfits, wearing straight hair or wigs or weaves or anything to kind of emulate straight hair, being thin, right? Or at least acceptably thin enough, right? I think, you know, we don't see plus size, darker skin, Black woman with naturally kinky hair often, right, in the soft life aesthetic. And we know why, right? That does not embody whiteness and the ideals of whiteness. I want to make it very clear when I'm talking about the soft life aesthetic, the Black girl luxury aesthetic, when we talk about class and old money, this is not just about what you wear or anything like that, right? You can wear quality clothing and breathable fabrics such as linen and cotton and not embody these old money kind of 1% class aesthetics, right? I think a lot of times people conflate the performance of class with quality. But there are plenty of rich people who have poor taste, who wear poor quality clothing, right? And I want us to divorce the performance of class with actual quality of items, whether that be clothing, jewelry, housewares, because trust me, tacky is tacky in every socioeconomic bracket. I'm not saying that any of these things are inherently bad, right? We have plenty of Black people, Black women who are wealthy, who are living their best lives, who wear designer, who vacation in Martha's Vineyard. Like, those people exist, right? What I really want us to interrogate is that aesthetic being tied to desirability and being close to whiteness, right? There's nothing wrong with wearing preppy clothing. There's nothing wrong with wearing neutrals if that's what you want. Like, I love a good polo. I love a good button up. I love a good sweater around the neck, right? Because fashion is fun, right? And it's fun to experiment with like different personas. But there's a difference between experimentation and fun versus wearing something to fit in with an aesthetic and a class and a race that will never accept you. Yes, a lot of this has to do with whiteness, but you know, we can't always blame the palm-colored people because sometimes the problem is with us. I hate to say it, but the problem is with us. Like, as Black folks, we also embrace and perpetuate anti-Black ideals. And sometimes the devil is right there with us, right? And this is not me bashing Black people, right? Like I said, anti-Blackness is a pollutant that we all breathe in the air. But we also have to realize that we are all villains and victims in our lives and other people's lives. And if we are going to talk about eliminating anti-Blackness, it also starts in our own communities. I also want to say, just because these standards exist doesn't mean that we always have to abide by them, right? Like, there is a life out there for us that embodies freedom and joy and all these great things without the weight of having to fit in with these ideals. So how do we begin to live a life of joy and freedom and liberation, right? Essentially. Let's talk about that. I think the first thing in untying yourself from those beliefs is this is going to sound corny, but realizing that you are beautiful, you are enough as you are. It is okay to wear your hair however you want to. I think if we embrace the fact that we exist on this earth and that we belong here, just as everyone else belongs here and they exist, I think sitting and accepting that very human fact that you have a right to live. Not only do you have a right to live, you have a right to live well. For me, that has helped me untangle a lot of anti-Black beliefs. And untangling this stuff is messy. It is not easy. I can tell you for the first 10 years of me going natural, I did not like my hair. I wish my hair was looser. I would do so many things to manipulate my hair. Like it was not a good look, y'all. And I think for me, and what may be helpful for you as well, is when I catch myself saying things that could be anti-Black, right? Like maybe complaining about my hair or something. I catch myself, I course correct, and I say, hair is hair, right? My hair is growing, it's healthy. Of course, my hair looks different from everyone else's. There's 8 billion people on this earth. We are not going to look the same, nor should we, right? I offer myself grace. And most importantly, I offer other people grace. This is not to say that I let people say whatever they want around me, especially when children are around. It's more of maybe pulling somebody to the side and saying like, hey, when you said that, that didn't necessarily come off exactly correct. Or maybe a lot of times I diffuse things by humor, right? So if someone says something that I perceive as anti-Black, I'll say something in opposition, but I'll make it a joke, right? I let things slide a lot less now, especially now that I'm older, and especially now that I have like a niece and sisters that like look up to me, right? I'm very much aware of my words and how other people's words affect them. Also, I had to admit that some of my beliefs were problematic. That's okay. Like none of us are perfect. Like all of us are problematic in multiple ways, right? All of us got a little bit of toxicity in us. Some of us work on it more than others. Ultimately, all of this comes down to one thing, which is awareness. Once we see how these messages of anti-Blackness shape us, we have a choice whether we want to buy into it, right? We want to sip the Kool-Aid or not. We can start making decisions that are true to who we are, right? And not what society wants us to be. So now that I've shared my thoughts, I want to hear from you. What are some beliefs that you are untangling and unlearning? What did you think about this video? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. I hope this video was useful. And until next time, take care. Love you all so, so, so much. I'm so grateful that I get to go on YouTube and talk about these topics and share a little bit of myself with you all. And I hope that you guys will share a little bit of yourself with me too in these comments. So until next time, love you all, take care, and see you soon. Bye.